I think the first thing we should do is check out how the old stock price is doing with CrowdStrike. Well, as of right now, it's going really good. I think the thing is that what people are realizing is that there's a lot of belief that CrowdStrike is going to be a cajillion dollar company. But unfortunately, they don't make that many cajillions of dollars. So this is going to be interesting. And I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious about all the rest of it. I'm not really a stock guy. I can't tell you a lot about stocks and finances. But looks like this is one of the few times I'd say ever in my life that I looked at a company and the result of what they did made this big of an impact. And it was purely a technical decision, right? The technical decision obviously was, let's push an update that's largely untested, which is crazy. And it's made that big of a problem. Boeing, kind of. It's like Boeing, kind of. Crazy. All right, so now that we've read that, let's blame the dev who pressed deploy. This is actually, I assume this is going to be a great article. I like this idea. Yesterday, I was browsing r/programming and came across a blog post titled, After CrowdStrike, Programmers Deserve Consequences. The author opens up with a comparison of software engineers to the anesthesiologist or a structural engineer, and tells a personal story about his friend who got stuck in the hospital due to a CrowdStrike outage. And it's true, software bugs can kill people. Mistakes in an airplane autopilot software or malfunction in equipment run by software can cost the lives of people. This is actually really interesting because I think what the person's saying here is that they want it so that if you're working on a project, you can get the corporate veil pierced. So for those that don't understand what the corporate veil is, a corporation, individuals at a corporation are largely not held liable for any action taken on by the corporation. And the reason why that makes sense is that if you're just a programmer and then the corporation somehow uses it as a cudgel to do something mean, you, the programmer, aren't necessarily held liable for their actions. Only the C-suite can be pierced. So meaning that only individual C-suite members can be held liable for the actions of a company. And to me, that actually just makes sense. I would be surprised if anyone inside the chat actually thinks we should hold programmers responsible. Like the people who released that update on Thursday, I don't think they should be held liable. Yeah, like the Theric 25. For those that don't know what the Theric 25 was, Low Level Learning has a great video on it. Effectively, one individual, a single person, programmed a radiation machine in assembly by themselves with absolutely no checks and balances. To me, that's a failure of management, right? That's a failure of anyone to foresee how bad that could go. And 6 people died of it. And hopefully the company had to pay out all the liabilities for that. And so when I see this whole like CrowdStrike thing, what I think is that the fact that they could push an update with absolutely no slow rollout, with nothing you would with none of the checks you would expect a billion-dollar company to go through, is just wild in my opinion. I bet someone who didn't get their medication as a result of the outage will die prematurely as a result. CrowdStrike will most likely killed at least one person. Yeah, I mean there has to be at least one hyper negative outcome from all this. Like if you think about, if we're going to go full on all this, full on here, if you really think about it, there could have been a person that day that was supposed to get on an airplane that was going to meet the love of their life. And their airplane got pushed and their seats got changed. And now a marriage and kids got destroyed. They will never exist. Can you believe that? Absolutely horrible. Not only did CrowdStrike likely kill somebody, but they also killed a relationship. That will never happen now. I know some of you guys, your actual wife, your waifu was ready. She was waiting for you, and CrowdStrike took her away. Same as the Volkswagen engineer who was convicted for the emission scandal. Engineers face the consequences. Yeah, I think this is largely wrong. I mean, I guess it depends. To be completely fair, when I say that engineers shouldn't be doing this, what I mean by that is that if an individual hides everything with absolutely no evidence and I guess you'd have to be found and convicted in a court of law that you yourself as the engineer fully acted by yourself and got somebody hurt or did something largely illegal. That makes sense, right? Like if you did insider trading, like if I knew secrets about CrowdStrike and then told a bunch of people about those secrets, then I totally get why that's a problem. But like the CrowdStrike thing, to me, that's purely process, right? Like that's purely like me. I mean, you're telling me you can just release to all Windows computers universally. Like I get that they push the update, but to me that's not on the engineering. That's on management that's purely on management. That goes all the way up. But then the author engages in the absurd rant about how the entire software engineering industry is a bit of a clusterfuck. I mean, okay, currently I agree with the original author here, okay? If you're telling me that software engineering isn't a clusterfuck, I got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you, okay? Like, I mean, come on, baby, let's go. And makes the delusional claim how software engineering should be bear the responsibility for bugs and outages. So I actually I mean, that's actually pretty interesting. I don't know. I'm trying to play through that because I understand some things that what they're saying. Think about it this way: any other field, responsibility falls on the crafter unless if you have, I always forget the word indemnification, unless if you have some sort of indemnification contract that says there's no, you can't sue us for anything that's happened and we can't sue you. Indemnification. It is interesting that out of all things, software engineering somehow gets around this, right? Like, you would never hire a plumber that if they flooded your house, it would just be like, oops, our bad. I'll come and fix it. I didn't realize. Prod alert. Right? Like, it would be strange. Nobody would accept that. Right? Without warranty. It's the license you tick without reading. It's just, it is, I actually get this argument, but I mean, I would fundamentally argue that I think that software engineering, I think that if you held software liable for the actions, I think you would effectively kill the industry. Like, I actually think the industry would stop existing. Obviously, LLMs would be taken away right away. Actually, let me rewind that for a second. Would that actually happen? If you were to start holding software orgs, I'm sure it'd probably be pushed at a corporate level to VP of engineering. I think that actually increased the pay for every software engineer ever because the amount of work required to get any software out would go up an incredible amount. And then the worst thing ever would happen, which I think everybody can guess: insurance. We all, as software engineers, would have to get insurance. And insurance is the biggest scandal. It is the biggest bamboozling that has ever been created. Malpractice insurance would be good, actually. Dude, I kid you not. Insurance and lawyers is an entire rent-seeking industry that has somehow been forced on us. It's wild that exists, and we all have agreed to it. It's not the first time I hear these arguments. I remember when a VW emission scandal was revealed, people had the same arguments. The developers who coded the bypass should be responsible. I think in some sense they should be responsible because they broke the law, right? This is different. This is not a bug of negligence. This is a bug that, you said, here is the law. Fuck the law. My boss says to say fuck the law. I say that too, right? To me, this is different. That was just for testing. I'd have to read more about it. So I guess I fully don't know all the things. If it was just for testing and then someone used that for testing, whoever used it for the illegal part, to me sounds like they chose to break the law, right? I'll explain in the end of the article why I don't think developers should be held responsible. But for now, let me give you some figures, some more figures to blame. We can start with the CEO. When you argue with CEOs why they deserve such a big pay and bonuses, they usually say something along the lines of entrepreneurship implies huge risk and layoff responsibilities for failures on the shoulders of the founder and CEO. This is true. This is, again, why I talked about the corporate veil right off in the very beginning. The corporate veil actually does allow for suing the founders, the CEO, the CMO, the CPO, the chief erection officer, any of them. It's true. Founders and entrepreneurs bear a lot of risk. They go on raising money, getting into debt, taking the role of running a company, and they usually enjoy the result of their success. Well, no, actually, first off, the word usually is incorrect. I think one out of 1,000 startups make it to earning $100,000 or more a year in tech. Let me say that again in case you just didn't hear it. 1 out of 1,000 startups will earn $100,000 or more in tech. So no, most founders fail terribly, absolutely terribly. All right, which is translated to a nice salary or bear the consequences of failure. At least they used to. They still do. Most of them do. Most startups just fail. I remember times when leaders had dignity and self-respect. I don't know if that's. I think this has been true in more rare circumstances than anything else. I think few leaders have had dignity and respect, and there's been a whole slew of leaders that have been just not filled with dignity. They would go on stage and apologize. They would take responsibility and outline an action plan. Someone would even step down from their positions as a sign of failed management. But today, I still don't like. I actually think that this is rose-colored lenses, right? What was it? Pullman, Pullman, town, Pullman town. It was called Pullman Town. I'll have to look up this, or is Pullman? I'd have to look up this. Maybe it's Pullman, as in like Pull. But there was this town called Pullman that a company owned. It was like a mining company. They even create like this is one of the reasons why we have Congress is the only people allowed to create money for the United States, because this town tried to create their own money to allow for what's it called, for mining and people, and they like kept like they literally like enslaved a group of people, and like that like absolutely horrible. Pinkerton did that too. Yeah, there's like a lot of examples of like just how bad it is. There's a lot. I mean, I don't believe in this whole idea that leaders are somehow that we're good and now bad today. I think throughout history you'll just see that leaders generally more is expected of leaders, and a lot of leaders have been very terrible. But today they also there's been amazing leaders too. So to be fair, there's also been equally as good as there's been bad. Today they hide behind an army of PR people who write blunt, soulless, unsympathetic press releases, blame their customers, and compare their employees to a number in the balance sheet. They no longer care about serving the public, but rather generating profit for investors. I think this always existed, right? I think that this just always has existed. It just is now easier to do it, right? Well, that's required by law. It is called your fiduciary duty. Blue Dorito is technically correct. This is required by law, all right? And usually they fail upwards. I've never liked this statement, and usually they fail upwards. I don't believe that a lot of leaders failed their way to the top. I think we can all point to like a manager or possibly a director that failed their way up. But I think that's a small percentage, but we've all seen that person. So we put on this mentality that everybody fails upwards, which is just not true, right? A modern Hollywood is all about failing upwards. Modern Hollywood is weird. I can't speak to that one. I'm just not convinced that this is always true. Let's see. George Kurtz, the CEO of CrowdStrike, used to be CTO of McAfee back in 2010 when McAfee had a similar global outage, but McAfee was bought by Intel a few months later. Kurtz left McAfee and founded CrowdStrike. I guess for C-suite, a global boo-boo means a promotion. I don't think this is, I just disagree with the statement. I mean, he was a CTO, got bought, left the company and started his own. I mean, to me, I don't really see how that's a promotion as much as like he just made it. Right, he wasn't promoted for anything. He just created his own thing. Right, started a business is not a promotion. Starting a business is usually not a promotion. Yeah, but if a C-suite fails upwards, then the next obvious party to blame is the customer. We could blame the United or Delta that decided to run EDR software on a machine that was supposed to display flight details at the check-in counter. Sure, it makes sense to run EDR on a mission-critical machine, but on a dumb display of information? Or maybe let's blame the hospital. Why would they run EDR on an MRI machine? We should blame the IT department in these companies unless we understand. I think I just assume this is all tongue-in-cheek right here, right? This is all him stating what the person does. We should blame the IT department for these companies unless we understand that IT department was simply trying to check a box in a stupid regulation imposed by the government. So it makes sense to blame the government. Well, okay, this I always agree with. Universally, the government is almost always to blame. You just bewailed that people are only concerned with profit, that are only generating profit for the investors. I hate to tell you this, but that is a government regulation called the fiduciary duty. A government that creates an absurd regulations by senile people whose familiarity with technology is limited to their TV remote. And even that is considered challenging. Can we just take a moment here? Who here has been bothered by a TV remote? Yeah, I've been bothered to fix TV remotes, which is ridiculous. It's just like, yo, dog, I don't know how lasers work. Like, if batteries don't work and I press the button, what do you want from me? I don't know what the secret... Like, I can Google the secret code. Ridiculous. Have you seen the absurd questions by the U.S. senators to tech entrepreneurs? Yeah, this, for me, showed that we just don't have a very tech-literate... literate bureaucracy, yet they also want to become a technocracy, which kind of terrifies me. Politicians are good at what they do, creating regulations. The companies are then left at the mercy of implementing these regulations. I imagine an IT specialist trying to explain to his manager how it makes no sense to install EDR software on an MRI machine, but his manager has no clue about it and simply tries to follow the regulation. So maybe we should blame the middle management, the same middle management who cuts corners because they needed to demonstrate KPIs or fulfill unrealistic deadlines that they themselves created. Or we can go to a level higher and blame the board who cares only about one thing, fiduciary duty. How can we save dollars? Let's lay off some engineers. Clearly these overpaid peasants don't deserve the money they are getting paid, and we can remove some of them, or better, replace them with AI. By the way, this is actually happening at some companies, and this is like a crazy take. I can't believe that we created a word calculator that just ejaculates words that look like they should match whatever was put in. And then people are like, you know what's going to be available? We could just replace jobs with this because the person I hired, literally I input words and he just monosyllabically ejaculates out words that match what I put in. It's a word ejaculator. How else would you describe it? I actually think AI is a word ejaculator. Like, what? How else would you describe it? Okay, hopefully we're almost through this, like, bewailing of each one of the positions. I wouldn't be surprised if this outage was caused by Cord strike trying to optimize its pipeline by laying off some QA engineers and replacing them with AI. So I can't tell where this is actually being, facetious and being serious. If all of this was, like, it feels like it was, like, partially facetious and then became serious right here, I actually think it was none of it. I think CrowdStrike... My guess is this. CrowdStrike has a mechanism for releasing an update for a mission-critical thing, right? That bypasses everything. Like, oh shit, we need to update right now because if we don't update this instant, a whole bunch of people are going to get hacked. We just have to be able to do this. This is my real thought. And somebody actually found something that was probably really bad. I know I'm supposed to save these takes for the end and all that kind of stuff, but I'm going to do it now. My guess is that there was a real problem that existed. CrowdStrike found the real problem that actually existed. They had no time to waste because this was a large, real problem. And they decided, okay, we need to fix this immediately. They bypassed every last check to get this thing out because this was it. And then it turns out it was actually a faulty push and then destroyed everything. That's my guess. That's honestly my guess. And so instead of being able to hack the computers, they kept you safe from the hackers by destroying the universe. That's like my white pill take, at least. My black pill take is that they're completely ignorant and they have absolutely no process over there that is good enough, and they are complete buffoons. That would be the black pill take. And I'm sure the pill is somewhere in between, right? Still no reason for a canary. Yeah, there'd be a reason for a canary. You could imagine if, right, let's see, who just said that? Let's see. Still no reason for canary. You could imagine if there was a DEF CON 1, like hackability, right? Like imagine if you had 30 minutes to get something out before someone could wake up all the MRI machines and start killing people by delivering high amounts of lasers. Like unfettered amount, like could cause real damage. Like would you want to go and just shoot it out at a very slow, like, oh, we better only test a couple percentage, right? I'm just saying, like one could imagine that there could be such a problem like that. I assume this wasn't the problem. I personally assume this was not the problem, but you could, I'm starting to think you really like lasers. I know I've mentioned lasers twice. Right? Make it a patch to disable. Oh, just turn off the machines? What do you think the blue screen of death was, man? They just turned it off. Right? They just turned it off. Friggin' laser beams, man. How do they work? I don't know, man. They just shoot photons. Oh, he said no reason for no canary. I'm sure there's at least one reason I can think of, right? But it's probably none of those. Like, honestly, it's probably none of those. This was probably just negligence. This was probably just negligence. Let's check out CrowdStrike. How we doing? Ooh, they rebounded. People are like, oh, no, wait a second. They're not actually that bad. And then someone's going to look at this and go, wait, that was way off. All right. Let's go back. Let's go back to this. But the truth is, we can't blame any of the above. They are the innovators, the entrepreneurs, and the backbone of our economic system. So they all fail upwards. I've never liked this take. Just like I've generally never liked the idea that every voter's a dumb voter, that every person's a dumb person. I generally don't like this idea of just casting everybody in a group as a bad person or a stupid person, right? I've never enjoyed those takes, generally speaking. The white knights of our modern society, smartest, most successful individuals whose words and practices should be taken without question as if they spread the message of God himself. Gospel. That's actually where that term comes from. I don't know if you guys know this, but people hear the term gospel. Gospel means from God, which was a message from Caesar, for those that don't know. No, we can't blame them. Instead, we should blame the peasants, these dirty developers who make a lot of unjustified money whose work can be replaced by AIs. You want to gatekeep the word engineer? You want to compare software engineers to structural engineers? Then I have a shocking discovery for you. A structural engineer won't sign off a design that was made under pressure or with cut corners. He will shift the blame to the construction if they decide to use a different type of steel or cheaper screws. If you decide to replace an anesthesiologist with AI, then good luck to you. Yeah, this is actually, there's a lot of stuff here that I know what he's saying is sort of true. There's this bridge collapse in building or walkway collapse. I think it's in hotel. Yeah, this one. I believe it's this one right here. I can tell you about this one specifically. What ended up happening is you see these? So what ended up happening is design went something like this. Is that there's this single pole that would come down and hold up these bridges. And these walkways would go across these bridges like this. And each one was tied on right here, like this. So for those that don't understand a lot about physics, what that means is that each one of these tie-on points would receive the weight of the bridge, right? So let's just call the weight of the bridge W. They'd each receive a downward force of W, all right? But the construction company could not make a pole this long, right? So what they ended up doing is that they would make a pole here, tie it off, and then create a new pole right here and tie it off, and then create a new pole here and tie it off. So what happened? Well, this was W force, this was 2W force, and this became 3W force. Other way around. You're right. My bad. Whoopsie daisies. I'm stupid. You're right. I'm stupid. This is 1W. This is 2W. I was right on 2W, and this is 3W, right? Duh, obviously. And so all the weight of everything was right here. And so what ended up happening? Everything exploded, right? Everything fell down. A lot of people died from it. It was absolutely crazy. Yeah. Explodiation. Yeah. And so just to say, like, sometimes people cut corners also in other professions. Luckily, structural engineering, the thing is that they're kind of missing here is that, or the thing that I think that is kind of interesting is that, is it bad to use React? Like, on paper, could you prove that it's bad to use React? You actually can't prove on paper that it's bad to use React. I know a lot of people are saying yes. Trust me, I understand. I want to say yes too. And if I read any article that says using React will slow down development by 15%, I'll just say this is absolute proof from God himself. Okay? I understand that. But the reality is that you can't do that. But can I tell you about a bridge system and why your new bridge designs will fail? Yes, you can literally show with actual mathematics why each one of these things are definitely going to break and why the safety factor being a 2 point whatever here going down to below 1 right up here is why this thing will fail. Like, you actually have a concrete answer why this will fail versus you can't give a number that says why this fails. Sounds like a skill issue? Whatever. The reason why anesthesiologists or structural engineers can take responsibility for their work is because they get the respect they deserve. No, actually, that's not the reason why. The reason why is because they have actual numbers. The number is literally calculable and says this is why you cannot bypass this number. You bypass this number, things explode. Like, that's why. Because they can do math, right? Like with anesthesiologists, they have your weight. They can measure your blood. They can see how much water's in your blood. They can then take all those numbers together, calculate the exact amount of pints that is in your body, then use that to say this is how much anesthesiology you need, right? How much anesthetics you need, not anesthesiology. That'd be kind of crazy hitting somebody with the book right beforehand. And okay, we're going to talk about consumption of Oxycontin now, right? Calculate, aka intuition. Yeah, but you can there's no intuition. Okay. Sir, you need 5 anesthesiologies. There's no intuition. You look like a big fella. I'm going to start you off with a heavy dose. Anesthesiology almost killed me to put me under. I don't go under easy for some reason, and I wake up during surgery basically every time. That's terrifying. AKA eyeball the bridge tension. Just eyeball the bridge tension. You want software engineers to be accountable for their code? Then give them the respect they deserve. If software engineer tells you that this code needs 100% test coverage, that AI won't replace them, and that they need 3 months of development, then you better shut the fuck up and let them do their job. I mean, I like this. I like this answer. Hey, can we all be fair? This is it's a good answer, not in the 100% code coverage part, but it's a good answer in the sense that the problem is that we currently live in a world of enshittification, right? Like everything we use is just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And it just feels like it's a perpetual, never-ending land of just everything just getting slightly worse all the time. So, yes, 100% of tests covered. You know what he was saying, okay? Let's not argue over silly typos, okay? Come on. Okay, 100% test coverage is accurate. 100% tests all the features, not the code. Anyways, so is there probably something here that's actually true? Yeah, there probably is something. Perhaps better software takes longer amounts of time, and software is disproportionately complex as anything grows, right? Like if you build a bigger house, the house's complexity to build doesn't grow exponential. Like it just doesn't grow exponential. Whereas with software, it's a non-linear growth for difficulty. And I think that's where part of the problem is that as any software company gets larger, you run into this problem of just like increasing difficulties to do anything. And if you don't, then take the blame for your greedy nature and broken organizational practices. I think you'd have to reverse this though. If you want the respect they deserve, as you're saying it, then you're also going to have to pay them the same wage as an anesthesiologist. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people in this chat right now that would not want to get paid the same as an anesthesiologist as a programmer. Okay, you want more time? Then cost less. I'm not trying to defend. Mr. Scrooge McDuck Moneybags. But if you also want a $250,000 salary in America, then you can't be like, I need 3 more months, and so does my entire team. What? Lower my salary? No way, no. Instead, let's all enjoy the enshittification of the internet. I hate anesthesia so much. Anesthesiologist earns way more, not more than software engineers, at least in America. Because blaming software engineers is nothing more than satisfying the bloodthirsty public for your organizational malpractices. Now, this is a good statement. This actually is a good statement. I fully agree with this, which is that blaming the software engineers, generally speaking, other than potentially this guy, I do need to know more about this VW emission scandal. Was it actually a software engineer who willingly chose to break the law or not? But I do think this is true, is that people just want a scapegoat. So you're just simply the public is bloodthirsty, right? The public does want somebody's head to roll. Okay, now do it with the structural engineer. Maybe anesthesiologist isn't a good one. It is called the golden road. I should have known better. Anesthesiology is considered the golden road. Sure, you'll get the public what they want. Okay, my bad. Okay, I'm wrong. But now do it for a structural engineer. Sure. You will get the public what they want, but you won't solve the root cause of the problem, which is a broken pipeline of regulations by people who have no idea what they're talking about, to CEOs who are accountable only to the board of directors, to upper and middle management who thinks they know better and give zero respect to the people who actually do the work, while most of the latter just want to work in a stable environment where they are respected for their craft. I feel like this article was so close to being something really great that I think would have been an absolutely fantastic read. But I think this is like my guess is this person is either a millennial or a Zoomer, because this feels like a very millennial Zoomer take, which is that it's like the public, like, the average person is complete moron. And it's just like, I hate to tell you this, but you're probably part of the average person, right? Like, I hate to be the one to bring the bad news, but you are a part of the average, more than likely, all right? And so when you feel like you're superior to everything and everybody else is an asshole, you're probably also the asshole, okay? There's plenty of middle management and upper management that has lots of respect for what people do. And they're also pressured to be able to get something out on some reasonable timeline. Like, we can't just all take multiple years to deliver a login. We have to like move fairly quick. Like, I get, no one's arguing that. Even me, like right now, I don't have a job. I make YouTube videos and I also build projects. I understand that whether you realize it or not, I'm under a time constraint to deliver the projects that I'm building, because you guys will become really disengaged if I take a year to build the perfect tower defense. Like, I have to build it, and I have to build it quickly, and I have to be able to move on to another project. You know, it's all the same. It's all the same, right? You guys are the board of directors. You are the board of directors. Yeah, I am the board of directors now. Yeah, exactly. I did a terrible impersonation. Can't confirm. Need weekly prime dopamine. Yeah, he has to keep his towers erect. Exactly. Right. Exactly. Right. To build actual things, you have to have building codes. But for software, you can just do the shittiest thing you can think of without any consequence. Exactly. That's why software is very confusing. How would you ever regulate software? How about this one? How about this one? Let's start from the position that we all agree that software needs some level of accountability. Who should write that? Would you like Nancy Pelosi? For us Americans, would you like Nancy Pelosi or Justin Trudeau to write what you need? Please no. Please God, no. Would you want Trump to do it? I don't want Trump to do it. I mean, if we're going to be real here, at least Trump has the best opinion about AI, which is, I don't know how it works, but we need to be the best at it. Like, at least he's somewhat smart about software. But I would not want him anywhere near writing regulations, right? I wouldn't want him anywhere near it at all, because that would be crazy, right? I know Nancy Pelosi is apparently the Warren Buffett of investing stocks, but I somehow doubt that she's good at technology and laws around technology. Sometimes I dream of Nancy Pelosi putting her arms around over me and not allowing me to leave. Then she leans in and threatens me and my family. I can hear the necromancers chanting, which keeps her alive. Oh yeah, Pelosi is my choice. She does look like she is actually being powered by necromancy. That's the most unhinged statement. I can't believe I just read that Twitch statement and now it's going in a YouTube video. Flip, keep it in. Can we keep it in, Flip? Keep it in, Flip. Flip, just put it in. The name. Is the Primogen. I really just hated how this ended. This is just ridiculous. This is just absolutely absurd. And now you got I actually have to have this now. And now this is where we're at. Fast chat moment. Is this a fast chat moment or this is just absolutely stupid? Are we reading Nancy erotica? We are. Shut up.